Hello guys, Diego the program here, back with another video. In the last video we were doing stuff with randomizing the positions of the AI and stuff, and we decided, well, I decided, it makes sense to do some changes on how the randomization works. So currently what we got over here is we've got a locations occupied array, and what we need to do is we need to have a list of current locations occupied. That's what we need. So when we add, for example, a building, right? This will load. Okay, there we go. But this just has to, we have to redo this building position stuff. Right. So we create the AI. Hold on, where? Not the AI, we create the player, okay, which is over here. So here's our player in the character creation. Character creation, which then goes on to over here. Gets returned with the player. Aha. So the player gets returned. Though its location isn't set, is it? When does its location get set? It's after this, isn't it? We get the world data file, we generate the world name. That generates us the world name. To read. Okay, here we go. This is where we set the location. When we also set the location, what I also want to do is I want to then say locations occupied dot append. What we want to append over here is we want to append starting player pos, comma by the starting player y. I want to append those two things, and then I'll just comment this out. Don't run that yet. I want you to then print out for me the locations occupied. (1616). Great. Okay, so that's great. 1616. Okay, so now what we need to do is we now need to loop through the buildings and stuff. So I guess we'll do go into our while loop, and we'll say here for building object in buildings. And the new x and the new y. Then I'm going to say over here if we want to say if new pos x comma new pos y is not in locations occupied. So the tile is not picking up, which I'm finding interesting. Okay, so if it's not in, then we're going to say over here I'm just going to go another loop. Why do I got another loop in the uncommented? I'm trying to remember why I got that. Dot pos x is equal to. There's no set as well. Interesting. We can do it this way, it's fine. New pos x and building object dot pos y. The issue is if I currently run this how it is, So if I then say for building object in set build not in buildings, print out me the building object dot type followed by string building object dot posx by string building object dot posy. If I do that, the issue is that, although you don't see it here, but the issue then becomes is what if, for example, we've got over here, it comes up to, let's say it randomizes 16, 16, right? 16, X, and 16, Y. It then says if it's not in, oh, I did not even assign it. No one of those there to all that 0. It'll then assign these new values. Else, however, otherwise it will just keep them. Like, what happens if it's an else statement? Now, if it's an else statement, I could just say randomize us again. Randomize it again, but I'm trying. Would that solve the issue? Potentially. That could solve the issue. Then that means I don't really need this while loop. We just do. If I had a smaller grid, I'll potentially be able to see that in action. We got here 24, 29, 22, and 13, 13. What we also need to do is that if this does happen, then what we need to say over here is locations occupied dot append. And to append of here is the new posx, by the new posy. Does this else then go back? I wonder if this then goes back. I wonder if the else does go back, then will it go back to the for loop and do this again? See, this time the else did a run. I'm wondering if I just made it smaller, you might see some stuff happening if we just made it smaller. So if I came over here, went to the world, and this world was, no. What if this world was 16, 16, 16, this was over here, 8, and 8. Was that small enough to test? Now I need to make it even smaller. 8, 8, 4, and 4. Diogo, Monk. Else did get run. Else did run this time. Interesting. And interesting, when you do the else, what were the new positions? Because interesting, it just then defaulted it to 0, 0, which is of course not something you want. You want it to actually change. Okay, else didn't happen this time, interestingly. I could go more lower. 4, 4, 2, 2. This time I feel like this is more a high probability of having a few having a few of the else statement running a few times potentially. Although interestingly, still nothing. Default it to 1, 0. Okay, interesting. How many times do we have to run this to make it work? Interesting, still not run the else. Can make it smaller. Else. 2, 2. 2, 2 got else, but that's because of what? 2, 2 was else. What building type was that? No else this time. Oh my god. I keep on making the world smaller and smaller just to get this else statement to always appear. Really? It's driving me insane. It's driving me insane. Imagine that was 1, 1. Just in the middle. Close some of this stuff out. Okay. Else, tavern. So this I can see what's going on over here. You got else has tavern 1, 1. Then the tavern gets reset to 0, 0. Is it because it goes onto this? It goes onto the else statement, but if I put break over here, that's not gonna be good, is it? Yeah, it just sets as all 0, 0s. Okay, I'm thinking, what if instead then we did for say while true this time, we put a while true. And we say over here, if it's not in then we break. How about that? Will that solve my issue? Yeah, then also, then print out me. Although, oh, it's already going to print out the building, isn't it? Because I already made it print that out. Yeah, that should solve the issue, because now it's going over here. Okay, so let's say we've got over here the tavern. We're like, okay, let's get a new position. But these positions are already equal to something that's been occupied. So we get, okay, so let's say it's, if we go back to 32, 32, 16, 16, right? If, let's say, the tavern, it's random positions, although it's unlikely, both of them will be 16. So if these both become 16, it will go, okay, this is already occupied, then it will set this as there, so then it won't run this if statement. So it will then go back onto the while loop and say, okay, give me new stuff. I'll give you new stuff, and it'll be like, okay, now you've given me 16, 17. That's not my location occupied. So now we can actually put that as a, we can actually assign the new location. That way works better to do it like that. So we did eventually use a while loop, but we have to put the while loop inside the for loop. Issue becomes is, what if your map's so small, this while loop will just continue on running. So essentially the program will crash because this will just continuously run. That is an issue, which can be solved later. So now with that, what we can actually just do is we can just essentially copy this, but just, of course, make some modifications to it. So over here, as you can see, that's a mess over here that I was doing. We can just boom. What we can say over here instead is we can say over here for, I'm just thinking, this could change. We don't have to have, I'm gonna change this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna instead of saying, oh yeah, set building random pods and stuff like that, I'm going to have this over here. I'm going to have over here. For building object in buildings, I'm going to, over here, set random position. And in set random position, yeah, boom. I'm just going to create over here, you know, def set random position. And all we're just going to do is we're just going to copy this while loop. Like so. So now I should not need any of this. Well, actually, the only thing I can think of is I'll send the random position. Whew. What I need to pass in over here is object. Object. So then I can say over here, yeah, object. So now this works. So I should be able to say over here, let's get rid of that. Actually, let's not get rid of that. Let me just comment this out instead. So self-set random, we can just say over here, yeah, just set the random pos. And we'll pass over here the building object. And for this one, so we've got that. So after you generate your AI characters, where does it go? It goes over here. Okay, we will no longer do that. Instead, let us loop through over here. Now what you could do is you could create a function which does its own looping and then calls upon the set random pos. We could just do that as well. But then you just create multiple functions, which I don't think is necessary. AI character object in AI characters. We're going to say then set random pos of the AI character object. And oh yeah, do that after you've generated your AI characters. So here are our new positions. Hopefully I don't see any conflicts with these positions now. These have all been given different positions. Very nice, very nice. Of course, unfortunately, the locations occupied only holds locations which are occupied. We don't get to see what it's actually occupied, which is it's unfortunate. But yeah, that part is unfortunate that we don't actually get to see what's occupied. We could make it into a 3-dimensional array, so that we also have is what's been occupied in a character building and what's its positions. We could actually add that as well to it. So we could do that. So in our set random pos, for example, what we could just say over here is we could say, so first of all, where's the player created again? I always like lose where this is created. It's over here where the location is occupied. What we could say over here, my player, comma. So you can say my player dot, not dot, comma, starting player position, whatever, right? And if we were to print that over here, print me the locations occupied, for example. You've got over here now is the character class, and then 1616. So we've got what's currently been occupied and what are the positions. And what we could then do is we could say, okay, so we've got that. Now let's also Let's also now do that for the rest. So here in the set random pos, what we're going to pass over is we're going to pass over the object, comma, followed by the new pos x, new pos y. And what this does, this simplifies us when we're looping. So instead of us looping through AI characters and buildings to get to know whether building's been occupied or AI character, we could just loop through locations occupied and check what's currently been occupied. Of course, what this means is when the person's moved, when the person moves, we have to also update the locations occupied. That will always have to be updated as well. So yeah, that will also have to be updated. One thing we can do is what we could just do is every single time the player moves, we just say clear your locations occupied. Let's loop through the AI characters and buildings, and let's redisplay. Let's put that information back onto the locations occupied. Or we could just say, okay, when the AI moves, then we update its locations occupied. We could do it that way. There are multiple ways you could do it. Right? You could either do, you could either update the list, or you can clear it and just redo the whole list. Now, just updating the list could be argued to be more efficient since you're not having to clear and do multiple loops around the AI characters and buildings. So yeah, it might be a bit more messy to having to update all the time. Or we could just create a function which updates it, and just always remember to call that function. So yeah, so let me just remove this for here, and then I'm going to actually remove this, because what I would like to now do is I'd like to now print out the locations occupied. Yeah, we're now going to print out over here the locations occupied, print locations occupied, then we can input. Oh, that's not what I meant. That is not what I meant to do. Load, there we go. And over here, as you can see, it's Tom data. Oh yeah, that one's been printed. Oops, I need to get rid of that one. As you can see, we have character, yeah, building. Then we got over here, AI character over here, AI character, and there you go. That's a good way of, I guess, checking what's in the grid and stuff. So, for example, of course, what this will mean, you also have to make changes then to your request action, because under the request action, that under the check movement, yes, the check movement, it loops through the buildings. Yeah, so it's looping through the buildings. So we're gonna have to modify the check movement. However, that'll be done in the next episode, since this episode is already going a bit long. Like this video if you did, subscribe so you know when I next upload that video, and hope to see you guys very soon. Goodbye.